I am a 32-year-old female, and I just came back from a 2-week work trip. My fiance, a 30-year-old male, and I are supposed to get married in 8 months. Something happened 2 nights ago that shook something in me, and I don't know how to move forward. I was finishing work, and my manager asked if I wanted to grab a drink. I texted my fiance and told him I was heading out with her, but my phone was still in work mode, so I didn't see his messages come in. He called me about an hour later. I didn't want to answer in front of my manager in the middle of a conversation, so I declined the call with the auto text, "I'll call you back later." He immediately called again within seconds. When I answered, he sounded upset and started with, "Why are you canceling my call? What is this new behavior?" The accusatory tone surprised me and honestly embarrassed me because my manager could hear. I stepped outside and explained. One, I wasn't ignoring him. I was literally with my female manager and he knows about her. He already knew I was going for drinks, and I've declined his calls before when I'm talking to my mom. Instead of calming down, he made a comment about how it seemed like I didn't want him to see me. That hit me hard, because to me, that implied that he thought I was hiding something. For context, we've been together for more than 5 years. I have never given him any reason to distrust me. Both of our locations are shared. If he was worried, he could have checked. But instead, it felt like he jumped straight to suspicion. I told him that comment hurt me. He apologized for his tone, but refused to acknowledge the implication. When I asked him directly what made him think I didn't want him to see me, he kept saying he doesn't know. I asked for some space of process because I didn't want to escalate the fight. And his response was, "If you need space for small things like this, then how will you handle real problems in marriage? If you don't give me an answer soon, I'll tell my parents to cancel the wedding arrangements." It felt like an ultimatum instead of a conversation. I told them I won't make any decision while I'm feeling pressured, and that we can talk when we're both calm. We tried talking on the phone later, but it ended with me crying and him hanging up on me. Since then, no calls, no texts, and he posted a story drinking alone in a bar. And I don't know how to read anything anymore, but I do know this. The trust issue he projected onto me did not come from anything I did. And I'm scared that if it surfaced now, it will surface again during marriage, during bigger conflicts, during harder times. So I'm here asking strangers because I'm too emotionally flooded to trust my own judgment. Is this something that can be worked through with emotional maturity and communication? Or is this showing me that we are not ready for marriage? I find myself struggling to put into words the complex emotions swirling within me as I recount this tale. At the tender age of 24, I find myself married to a woman of 22, our union blessed with a beautiful daughter. Yet the path that led us here was fraught with challenges and unexpected turns. In the bloom of youth, my wife and I found ourselves drawn to each other, our hearts entwined despite the religious chasm that separated us. A Jehovah's Witness by upbringing, she faced a painful consequence of disfellowship when our love brought forth new life. Scorned by her family, we forged ahead, our bond strengthened by the support of my own kin. As time marched on, our love deepened, culminating in a promise sealed by marriage. Yet the call of her faith remained a siren song, forever beckoning her return. Though it pained me, I understood her yearning for familial connection and granted her the freedom to choose her path. Still, the specter of religious influence loomed large, casting a shadow on the upbringing of our child. Determined to shield our progeny from the imposition of beliefs not her own, I fought to maintain a boundary that would safeguard her autonomy. Alas, the tendrils of my wife's faith proved far-reaching, entwining our daughter in their relentless grasp. It was not until a medical crisis illuminated the stark consequences of our divergent convictions that I truly grappled with the gravity of our situation. Faced with the prospect of our child's surgery, the chasm yawned ever wider as my wife's allegiance to her faith superseded even the most primal instinct to preserve life. Stunned and shaken, I found myself questioning the very foundation of our union, the love we shared strained by the weight of irreconcilable differences. As we stand on the precipice of welcoming another child into this world, I am consumed by the fear that our children will be forever caught in the crossfire of our ideological war. The realization that our family's future may hinge on a delicate balance between love and dogma weighs heavily upon my soul, leaving me to ponder the path forward.
In the end, I am left to navigate the treacherous waters of religion and parenthood, clinging to the hope that love will prove a sturdy enough vessel to carry us through the storm.
Hello, everyone. I wanted to give an update because your advice honestly pushed me to do something I would have kept avoiding. On Saturday evening, I texted Matt saying I needed to talk about something. Originally, I wanted to do it in person, but I chickened out. So I just went for it and asked him how he felt when we slept together. He was confused at first, understandably. So I clarified and told him I enjoyed those moments because I am actually attracted to him. Then I asked again how he felt. He told me that the first time we slept together, I had recently broken up with my ex, and he did not want to take advantage of that moment. And the other times, he was just trying to be respectful. He literally said, "I am loyal to you always." After that, we decided to talk properly in person the next day. We already had plans to go to a friend's place on Sunday, so we met there. It was super awkward for me to see him after confessing my feelings, but he was completely normal. After the hangout, he drove me home, and that is when the real conversation happened. I told him that I was into him from the moment I saw him, and that my feelings grew stronger as we got closer. He said he likes me too, and admitted there was always tension between us even when we hang out with the group. He explained that he never asked me out because of my ex at first, and later because he thought I had something going on with other guys. Anyway, we agreed the past is past. I asked how he wants to move forward and if he is ready for something more. He said yes, and that he wants to get to know me in a different way. So I kissed him, finally, and the rest is history. Thank you to everyone who encouraged me to communicate. I would have stayed stuck in confusion without your advice. You all gave me the push I needed.
We've been engaged for almost 2 years. Last night, after I came home from a trip, we got into a pretty big fight, a discussion that we have had multiple times. In the last year and a half, my fiance has had 10 jobs. He doesn't stay at them for more than a month and a half. The longest I've seen was 10 weeks. He either walks out on them without finding another job to back it up, or he gets fired for various reasons. I've needed a lot of help financially, and in the last few months, he has not paid his half of rent or utilities. He sometimes pays for groceries, but you can't live off of pizza rolls and taquitos. He also doesn't have a car because he said that his doctor told him his vision is too bad for it and that he was going to go blind in 8 years. This has been a big issue for me because I work all the time, practically 2 or 3 jobs to make ends meet. I'm exhausted and ready to pull my hair out because the bills just piled on, and I've expressed to him that I feel like I've been taking on everything by myself. Here's where I'm at a standpoint. He's had a couple of people in his life pass away in the last year, so the grief has been hard for him. I've made sure that I've been there for him and to remind him that he's loved, and I've always made sure that he had an ear to listen to and support. It's to the point where sometimes all he does is sit in the dark room and play video games. He sometimes will go a couple of days without eating. I have begged and pleaded with him to go get help, but he refuses every time and says that he's fine. I had to go visit some family recently, and when I came back from my trip, all of the food in our house was gone. And when I asked if he had eaten, he said not for 2 days. This infuriated me. I'm not exactly sure why it did, but I was upset. We got into a big fight, and one thing led to another. I broke things off. He begged and pleaded to stay together, but I just can't bring myself to say yes. I don't want us to hurt each other anymore. I want to be there for my fiance, but I've hit my breaking point. I feel like the biggest jerk. I recently had an abortion, but I didn't tell my husband about it. The guilt has started eating away at me, and I feel like I've made a big mistake not being open with him. I got pregnant almost exactly 12 weeks after our first baby was born. I found out I was pregnant when I was about 6 weeks along. I panicked and immediately decided to terminate the pregnancy without talking to my husband or even really thinking through the decision. I don't regret the abortion itself,
as I honestly feel like it was the right decision for me. But I do regret not telling my husband about it. Motherhood has been a huge shock to my system. It's really hard, and I don't think that I could handle having a second baby right now. My husband seems to have adjusted to parenthood much more easily. He's involved and very hands-on, but I'm still doing the bulk of the work. He really only takes over in the evenings when we both get home from work. I'm the one doing most of the caring. I even bring her with me to work, since my workplace allows new mothers to bring their babies for the first 6 months. I didn't tell him I was pregnant because I was afraid he might want another child and don't understand why it's so important to me not to have one. Now I feel guilty for making this decision without his involvement, without being honest with him regarding the situation at hand and as to how I really felt. I didn't need his permission, but yes, it is something we should have talked about. I'm terrified that by telling him now, it's going to make things worse. He may be angry that I made this decision without him, but what I'm really fearing here is that he'll be hurt that I kept it from him at all. If the roles were flipped and I found out later my spouse kept something like this from me, I would be devastated. I feel so torn between telling him and just finding a way to silently and privately move on. I just don't know how to move forward from here. How do I tell him?
My husband goes through phases where he seems to be angry or annoyed at me and nitpicks the smallest things. We've been together 12 years. Tonight, it was because I had left dishes in the sink and some used food packages when serving dinner. I was going to clean up after dinner. I always clean up after dinner, but tonight I had our toddler attached to me and still managed to make a really nice meal. I simply didn't have time to clean up or put dishes in the dishwasher before eating. I got upset and said he was being unreasonable, but he said I always do this and I shouldn't be leaving a mess. I feel he should have been grateful for the food. He was more angry about having to clean up and made a point of doing so before dinner than the fact I cooked dinner. Some previous examples include being extremely annoyed that I took too long to breastfeed our newborn, complaining and being miserable on our overseas holiday as he didn't know it would be different to travel with children, making me feel bad for working on a weekend to make extra money for our family, and being annoyed over little things to the point of not talking to me for a few days. He is the breadwinner, however, I still work 3 times a week. I would also say I manage most of the household, doing the clothes washing, cleaning, groceries, meal planning, cooking, organizing all childcare, all holiday celebrations, and gifts for his family. There are many things I could nitpick too, but I don't. After our overseas holiday where he was just awful, I did talk to him and said I was considering wanting to separate as I was not happy with how things were. He agreed he was a little depressed and he would change things. However, tonight I feel things have gone back to his moodiness and unreasonable behavior. I wasn't brought up to be treated like this, and I'm beginning to think I would be happier being alone. It would be hard as we have a child. I don't know if it's unreasonable to want to leave someone like this.
I have only been with my boyfriend for 8 months and known him for less than a year. He keeps telling all of his friends and family that we are looking at houses. An obvious problem is that we have been together a short amount of time. He moves very fast. He told me he loved me on day 2 into dating. Problem 2 is he has $1,000 total in his bank account. First of all, I am not buying him a house. I can afford a decent house on my own, and I will be moving out of my current house within the next 6 months due to neighborhood drama. He sees this as an opportunity to buy a home together. When talking about buying my next house, I am purposely using phrases like, I can afford this amount. I have told him his finances scare me to afford a house and contribute to any costs. He told me it's normal to have only $1,000 at a time in his bank account, and that's how most people live. For clarity, he has a decent job and works in the trades. In previous years, he has filed taxes for a $90,000 income. Obviously, it fluctuates depending on the amount of overtime each year, but every time I ask him where his money is, his response is he has bills. Another inconsistency is his only bills are general utilities and a car payment that is almost done. He doesn't have a mortgage, student loans, or any dependents. He also has passive income from being a landlord of other homes he has inherited. His dad is big time pushing us to move in together, and my boyfriend agrees that we should. I am not ready to move in with him for a variety of reasons. Time, money, cleanliness, habits, but he's not picking up the hints I am dropping. I feel like he's making this decision for both of us without even asking if I want to. I don't want to hurt his feelings, and I don't know how to approach this because anytime I bring it up, he has absolutely zero verbal response to my concerns. We had a miscarriage in March and then another one a couple of months ago. We got blood work done, and it shows she has a gene variant that can cause spina bifida in the developing fetus. Her brother has spina bifida too. Knowing this, we should have gotten the blood work done before we even started trying, but I'm trying not to dwell on the past. We had a tough conversation the other night. I don't know if I want to take the risk of having kids if there is a good chance the baby will have spina bifida. We have an appointment with our obstetrician gynecologist on the 18th, and that should give us more information on the medications she can take, folate, that would lower the risk of the baby developing spina bifida. She's already taking folate, but I guess with the gene variant she has, it makes it difficult for the body to process folate, so she might need a different form of the folate. Let's say the obstetrician gynecologist says this lowers the risk to 10% to 15%. That's still a number I am uncomfortable with, and I'm not sure I would want to take those chances. I could see this being something that may end in a divorce, and I am very stressed out about everything. She wants kids no matter what. I just know with seeing her brother and all the care he needs, I am not prepared in the slightest to take on a monumental task like that. I know there is going to be differing opinions on this, and there's not one easy answer, but does anyone have any advice or experience with something like this?